My stepfather made me eat shellfish to prove my allergy was fake. I almost flatlined in the ambulance. I've been allergic to shellfish since I was 3 years old. My throat closed at a seafood restaurant while my biological father watched me turn blue, and I've carried an EpiPen ever since. The allergy is documented by 6 different allergists across 2 states. I have medical bracelets, school records, hospital discharge papers going back 15 years. When my mom married Dennis 4 years ago, I showed him my allergy documentation the first week because he loved cooking elaborate dinners. He nodded, said he understood, and I thought that was the end of it. But Dennis came from a family that believed allergies were invented by weak parents raising weaker children. His father had made his siblings eat foods they were allergic to until they got over it. According to Dennis, his brother outgrew his dairy intolerance through exposure. His sister conquered her nut allergy by eating peanuts daily for a month. He thought modern medicine had created a generation of hypochondriacs, and my shellfish allergy was exhibit A in his case against coddled youth. It started with comments at dinner. Must be nice having a built-in excuse to be picky. My dad would have cured that in a week. You know, most allergies are psychological, right? Your body believes what your mind tells it. I ignored him because fighting with Dennis meant fighting with my mom, and she always chose peace over truth. When I asked her to talk to him about it, she said he was just old-fashioned and that I should try to understand his perspective. His perspective was that I was a liar, but sure. Then Dennis started testing me in small ways. He'd make shrimp pasta and put a clean bowl next to the contaminated pot, then watch my face when I ate. He'd order crab cakes at restaurants and push the plate toward me, saying one bite wouldn't kill anyone. He told my younger stepbrother I was faking for attention, and soon that kid was hiding shrimp in my food to see if I'd notice the taste. I found cocktail sauce in my mashed potatoes twice before I started making my own meals entirely. My mom threw a graduation party for me last spring, and Dennis insisted on catering it himself. He spent all day in the kitchen while family and friends filled our backyard. I asked him 3 times if anything had shellfish in it. 3 times he looked me dead in the eyes and said everything was safe. The crab dip was labeled spinach artichoke. The lobster bisque was called cream of mushroom. The shrimp fried rice sat in a container marked vegetable stir fry. I trusted the labels because it was my own graduation party, and I couldn't imagine even Dennis would sabotage that. I loaded my plate with what I thought was safe food and ate while my grandparents told me how proud they were. My throat started itching before I finished my first bite of the rice. I knew immediately what was happening because that itch is burned into my memory from when I was 3 years old. I found Dennis in the kitchen and asked him directly what was in the rice. He smiled and said it was just vegetables and soy sauce, that my anxiety was creating symptoms that weren't real. I told him my throat was closing and I needed my EpiPen from my car. He blocked the door. You're not running away from this. You're going to sit down, finish your plate, and realize your body is fine. I tried to push past him, but Dennis is twice my size, and he grabbed my shoulders and shoved me into a chair. My face was swelling. I could feel my airway narrowing with every breath. I managed to gasp out that I needed help, and he told the guests who were starting to gather that I was having a panic attack over nothing, that this was exactly the dramatic behavior he'd been warning my mom about for years. My grandmother knew something was wrong. She saw my face turning red and puffy, saw me clawing at my throat, and she started screaming for someone to call an ambulance. Dennis told her I was faking, that I'd done this before for attention. She shoved him aside and ran to my car for the EpiPen herself. By the time she found it in my glove compartment and got back to me, I wasn't breathing. She stabbed it into my thigh while my mom stood there frozen, looking at Dennis like she wasn't sure who to believe, even while her son suffocated in front of her. The paramedics said I coded once in the ambulance. My heart stopped for over a minute before they brought me back. I spent 4 days in the hospital with a tube down my throat because my airway had swollen completely shut. The doctors told my family that another 2 minutes without the EpiPen would have meant brain damage or death. Police showed up because the hospital reported it as a poisoning. Dennis tried to tell them I had a psychological condition that mimicked allergic reactions, and the detective actually laughed in his face before showing him my medical records going back 15 years. They found the real labels in the trash, the ones Dennis had peeled off and replaced with fake ones. Premeditated. He knew exactly what he was doing when he served me food designed to trigger anaphylaxis in front of 50 witnesses. My mom finally chose a side when the handcuffs clicked. She chose wrong. She posted his bail and begged me not to press charges because it would ruin the family. I pressed charges anyway. Dennis took a plea deal for aggravated assault and got 18 months. I moved in with my grandmother and haven't spoken to my mother since.